Okay, this is session 1 of Monsterhearts 2 Mercy Falls 83. This takes place in the Gauntlet's Mercy Falls Monsterhearts setting. Actually, it's Monsterhearts and other games now, too. This is going to be 1983, so it takes place roughly, it's over 30 years before the current Mercy Falls stuff. So Monsterhearts, of course, is about playing young people, teenagers, who have very little control over their bodies and emotions. It is a game that explores queer identities and queer sexuality, non-queer sexuality, I suppose, as well, all sexualities. And the idea, what I always love about Monsterhearts is that the moves reflect this idea that, like, as a teenager, you're still kind of like discovering yourself. You're still like kind of managing your body. And we have the metaphor of their monstrousness, right? That kind of stands in for that part of the teenage experience, right? One thing I always like to point out, having run a lot of Monsterhearts, one of the things I always like to kind of like throw out there to the group, just as a thing to keep in mind, is that they are still teenagers. That's really important. With all their like monstrous abilities and stuff, it's sometimes easy to lose sight of that. And like, they're still teenagers. They're still beholden to adult figures. Just so keep that in mind. Mercy Falls is a town in the Pacific Northwest. It's in Washington. It is mostly just a main drag with some businesses and a few houses. And then there are like little clustered neighborhoods off, it kind of spread out, arrayed from that. And there's lots of trees, big, massive old trees. Think Twin Peaks. It is part of the year, it's a resort town. It has a big resort hotel. I haven't decided whether we're going to be in like off season or not. But in any case, it's a small town. It has two main industries, tourism part of the year and lumber all year. There is a big lake called Lake Mercy Falls. It's unclear if there are actually falls in Mercy Falls. We've never seen them, so who knows? But that's kind of the basic idea. The sort of supernaturalness of Mercy Falls is that there is something in the forest that is ancient, and its ancientness has permeated the land. We've seen different parts of it in the game, but it's not important for our purposes right now. All you need to know is just that like there's something ancient in the forest, and the people of Mercy Falls make active reference to the woods in that way. Like they'll say things like, oh, like the woods will have their way, right? But I think that like the supernatural nature of the forest is kind of one of the things that maybe causes monstrous individuals and other weird things to be happening, right? So that's just something to kind of know about the town. Tone is going to be dark, as you might expect, but also I think a sort of like 80s teen drama tone, like a John Hughes movie, would be kind of a good vibe too. Subject matter wise, sex is on the table. These characters have sex, they have sex moves. If we mostly fade to black on that stuff whenever it comes up. We'll have the X card on the table just for in all cases. So if something goes on that you're not happy with or that's making you uncomfortable in an unfun way, you just say X card or do the X, and then we'll stop and we'll change it and do something different. Are there any subject matter things that you guys don't want to do, just hard lines to where we didn't even get to the point of the X card? We'll just kind of stop it now. I'll throw one out there. In the vast majority of the games I run, I prefer not for sexual assault to be a theme. So I'll throw that out there. And if you guys have any other like subject matter hard lines, you could go ahead and state them now.
Yeah, I think particularly because have the serpentine in play, like if that stuff stays out of the family as well, that would be really nice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no incest. Fair enough.
Otherwise, I think that's my only hard line.
Okay, sounds good. So we're going to be doing something a little different for this series. We're going to be not making a homeroom seating chart. We're going to be making a detention seating chart. So it's going to be a detention weekend starting on Saturday morning, and we'll probably go through Sunday evening through the course of these 3 sessions. That's my hope anyway. The school parts in the day will be at school, but because it's like weekend detention, there won't be any kids around. Like it's just going to be you guys and the people in detention. So my touchstone here is like Breakfast Club, right? Like it's very Breakfast Club, right? It's very that. And so I'm thinking we're going to have a lot of scenes of like just that they're a lot like smaller and more personal in scope. And I'm really into that. So think in those terms. But when detention's over, when you go home or whatever, you guys can get up to all kinds of stuff at night as well. So, but you got to be back Sunday morning for detention. So That's how that's going to go. So basically, we're going to be doing the bad kids seating chart. That's what we're doing to start. So, and I will ask you how you got weekend detention. Let's introduce these characters, and we'll go back around and do backstory. So, Lauren, tell us about Adelind. Is that right?
Yeah. So Adelind comes from a very controlling family. I haven't quite figured out if it's a family from old money or demons, but I figure we could go depending upon how you want the tone to go. Very controlled by her family. She's one of those annoying kids who like pile in, and you can never book any free time with them because they've got like tutoring, and her parents really want her to succeed and things like that. On the other hand, like she wants a kid and stuff, and she doesn't quite feel like she fits in her skin. She has baggy clothes. Her favorite item of clothing is like her uncle's military jacket. Was one of the few family members she actually likes. The story behind Wednesday Addams is like she's a little bit ostracized, even though she's and kind of like blends in a little bit here and there. But one day, her parents made her wear black to mourn the passing of one of her grandparents. And that one day meant that Wednesday Addams like stuck as a nickname, and she cannot shake it. Even though she doesn't wear any black, like she likes a lot of greens and like military colors, as I said, and is usually like a t-shirt and jeans kind of person. A little bit aloof and like really wants to make friends, but doesn't really know how, and wants to socialize, but doesn't have any time. So she's sort of caught in a bind. And I can keep rambling if you want me to keep rambling, because I've been thinking a lot about this character, but that's kind of like her jam.
I mean, this is pretty solid. They're a family of serpents, right? That's an important aspect. If you choose one of those origins, which one are you going to go with?
Old money serpent sounds good. That's kind of like dragony.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. They're old money. They're really old family. But like, have they always been from Mercy Falls, or are they new to Mercy Falls? Is this an Addams family situation, like, or what kind of situation is it?
I dig it being an Addams family situation.
They've moved to Mercy Falls for some reason. Okay, good. So Adelind, Wednesday Addams Weir. That's great. What moves have you chosen?
So I start with Failing Dynasty. And again, I hadn't quite decided if that is to get back money or politics. I kind of like, if they're needed town, maybe it's politics. I'm kind of undecided on the second move, because I kind of like the idea of New Order, since it's all about like having human experiences outside of your family and stuff, which I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah.
If we're like detention buddies, then that should create some good opportunities to have some like sweet human moments.
They've got this really super controlling family, strange controlling family, right? Their whole like storyline is kind of like getting away from them and finding, love and acceptance with people who are not ancient serpent people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
okay, we're on the same page.
Right. Yeah, I'm into that. I think that's a pretty cool one. So your sex move is if your family learns that you've had sex with someone, that person becomes part of your family's failing dynasty. If they're a main character, they add the move to their sheet. Oh, that's really interesting. In the Age of Serpents, your family was powerful and prolific. Now they live in a shadow of their former glory. It sounds like we've decided they're political cloud. We can interpret that to mean like they want just power, right? I think like it's an interesting way of going with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go, yeah.
Whenever you are convinced to do the bidding of a family member, take one forward to doing it, and that family member gains a string on you. Whenever you help your family regain some of their former glory, mark experience. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So then your sex move is if your family learns that you've had sex with someone, that person becomes part of your family's failing dynasty. So basically, it's like the serpents say, like, you're one of us now. Right? Basically is the idea. I love this because it's such a weird dynamic, because it's like you are just trying to ostensibly like have connections out, like human connections, right? And your family sees it as like an opportunity, right? Like, and you wouldn't have had sex with them if you didn't want them to help us regain our glory, right? So I'm here for it.
Awesome.
Do they live in like a big, like an old mansion or something? Like some big old
Yeah,
house?
no, so I kind of dig the idea that they got a house like super cheap and it is a mansion, like maybe a little bit removed from the town, but like rumors that someone died there, or it's like, it was going cheap because the
Some
previous
history.
owner
Yeah.
died. Yeah, it's got a lot of morbid history about it, which kind of feels like these rumors of this weird family that's come into town with this like kind of weird girl.
All right. Philip, tell us about Adam.
Yeah, Adam the Hollow. He is super skinny, like almost emaciated, pale, mid-length hair, kinda not really a hairdo, but it gives an androgynous expression or impression, and his face is also kinda androgynous in structure. He's wearing also baggy clothes, like a dark pullover where the sleeves are too long, so they can cover his hands, and that's like one main piece of his clothing, like dark jeans, some just worn out shoes. Not really fashionable, but he seems to prefer dark colors without clearly belonging to goth subculture or something like that. And there is a clear discomfort, almost desperation in his eyes. Like he obviously is unhappy with a lot of things.
You sound like the kind of kid who'd be in weekend detention. So,
Yeah.
So tell us about being a hollow. Like, what's that all about?
Parents wanted a child, but they didn't really know what to do with it once they got one, and maybe they used supernatural means or something else. Anyways, he doesn't feel like he really is human in a way that you're supposed to be, and also he has to take clues from other people to know how to act on whatever norm society has.
His parents wanted a kid, couldn't have a kid, I guess, like couldn't naturally conceive a kid. Made a wish of some sort.
Indeed.
Did your mom actually like get pregnant and give birth to you, or were you like, did you show up, or like how'd that go?
Like an adoption.
Oh, I see. Okay. Like, were you just like dropped off on the front door or something? Or...
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, cool.
Sure what they had to pay for that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably figure it out as we play, but just the basic idea though is like, your parents don't know what your origin is, essentially, right?
Yeah, they just know that they wanted me, and now they are kind of, bias regrets maybe.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What are your moves?
A blank canvas and try harder next time.
Okay, let's read those. A blank canvas. When you take an action that embodies one of your conditions, allowing that condition to alter your sense of self, cross it off and add one to your roll. That's interesting. Try harder next time. When you screw up, give yourself an appropriate condition and take +1 forward. Oh, so you've got like a condition machine.
The new Hollow skin is all about condition machines. I could also always gain experience whenever I got a condition if I take a third move.
Okay, I'm into it. Sounds really great. I want to make sure I understand like really precisely like what they're kind of going through. Like they get this condition, which is like what people view them as, or what the labels that people have put on them, and then they use that. They like embrace it.
They have to act fired by the condition. It must be true in some way. Yeah,
it's like you have no sense of your own self. You adapt and adapt to whatever other people put on you. Basically, is that the idea?
Yeah.
Let's talk about your sex move. When you have sex with someone, both players, I love this one. I had this one last time I played Monsterhearts, I was a player. When you have sex with someone, both players secretly write down whether the sex was confusing or soothing. If you reveal the same answer, you both mark XP.
Yeah.
Okay, so autumn, fall.
Oh, yeah. I think I might just change it to fall so it's not AAA squad happening. And it's also, it fits better anyway, I think, because fall is like awkward, and so is he. Fall is awkward, autumnal, forgettable, and abandoned. And so what I'm going for is, if you think of the movies, there's always like the outsider. I think it was like Jesse in the Breakfast Club, right? Was it Jesse?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, the bad boy guy, right? Except that I'm ostracized, but I'm forgotten as well. Like instead of, it went the other way for me. Like instead of getting kind of like popular and being like intriguing, people were just like deleted. Like, don't even see this guy. So yeah, and I think that Dad works as like a ranger in the park, so I live outside of town, so I'm literally apart from it, but just inside of it. Like I live 1 kilometer short of where I would have to go to like a different town school or whatever. Like,
got it.
He doesn't try to be awkward, he just is, and that sort of deletes him from other people's eyes because of it. But his look is like an outsider, you know? Like, I think those glasses on the picture, I think he always has them on and nobody cares. Like, nobody even asks him why he always has glasses on.
So, like, for somebody else, it would be like a cool thing, but for him, it's like just a...
Like,
I actually kind of dig it because Mercy Falls is like such a simple town in a lot of ways, you know? Like, I like the idea of, like, you don't fit in because you are not, like, you know, just a podunk, you know, like, you know, rural Washingtonian. So
yeah, and I dress sort of like hick farmer, even though live in a forest, which I think is funny.
and you are a Sasquatch. I mean, you have like you are a creature of the forest in the sense that, like, you know, you have some sort of like physiology, right? That because you have this musk, right? That's one of your moves. Let's talk about the musk.
Yeah, that's what I was going for with the autumnal. Like it just smells like the season of fall, which I think is why my parents named me that. But I think that in general, he's just sort of discovering this musk because he's not really like active enough or around enough people to know that he has that effect on people until now, which is why I think that he'll end up in detention. Like I kind of like him being the alternate on the basketball team or something like that who never gets put in. And then one day he was put in, and then like one of the players was really attracted to him and he passed him the ball and it just hit him in the face or whatever. And then he got detention for it because they thought that he was just being an asshole.
Like throwing the ball in his face or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
The musk is interesting. So whenever you break a sweat, okay, so you have a distinct smell, powerful, perhaps intriguing. Whenever you break a sweat, I have to say whether someone's aroused and give you a string on them.
Yeah, and then they choose a reaction as well.
Yeah, I give you a compliment. I give myself to you. My eyes water and I gag. I'm also repulsed. So I ridicule you about your body and give you a condition. Wow. Okay, that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
What's your other move?
Icebreaker. So you radiate so much awkwardness that it affects those around you. When you ask someone a question listed below, they blurt out a truthful answer. If you want to ask another question in the same scene, first answer that earlier question yourself, which is why I picked me always having those glasses on. I think it's just unnerving, right? Like I ask a question and then people can't even see my eyes or anything, and they're just kind of like get uncomfortable and tell me what's up already. I think that would be funny.
Yeah, the questions are interesting too because they're like they're basically like read a person questions, right?
Yeah.
And Monsterhearts doesn't normally have that. So
yeah, that's why I chose it. That basically the icebreaker move is why I chose this playbook.
Cool. Oh, well, whoever you have sex with smells like you afterward. If they face their peers before scrubbing it off, they mark experience. Okay. Great. Cool. Let's talk about backstory. We'll go in reverse order this time. Fall, do all your backstory thing.
Okay, it is gonna be, you've been a wallflower all your life, but someone finally noticed you, give them a string. Do you think Adam is like make fun of me person or just like finally noticed me?
Both can work. I'm sure he is looking at a lot of people, so he might notice you. But he could also, get into making fun of you because that's what people are doing.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
Oh,
you would do it as a peer pressure thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because you pick up what people do, right? So if everyone just started making fun of me one time at the basketball game, probably when I hit that kid in the face or whatever, you'd also join in and be like,
were you wearing your sunglasses in the basketball match?
Maybe. If they allowed it.
I think it's great. I like the idea of you still wearing them.
Yeah. Someone makes fun of you. What do they say? They give you a condition, and I gain 2 strings on you.
Yeah, but Adam gives you a condition, and also, what do you call him, Adam?
That's a good question.
The hillbilly would work fine.
Probably. Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, you called me a hillbilly. You've been a wallflower all your life, but someone finally noticed you. Give them a string.
So it sounds like it's going to be Adeline. Adeline, why? What is it about fall that you notice?
I think this is kind of neat because it kind of ties into the backstory questions that I have as well. Adeline sees Fall as someone who is so complementary to her social status and that they're both kind of ostracized and a bit weird. But Fall is everything that she's not as well, because kind of a dorkable kid, and Adeline is just very uptight and doesn't communicate very well with people. In fact, I think she got done for fighting, landed her in detention because someone was teasing her a bit, and she kind of just like lashed out and maybe bit the girl.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's what she notices in Fall, is that they're very similar but very different.
Mutual
and she finds
outsiders,
that
yeah.
very yeah.
Cool. I love it. Okay, well then let's go to Adam.
You've been taking your social cues from someone, and doing so has taught you a lot about them. Gain 2 strings on them. Question: who of those two do you take social cues from? You're all the most awkward kids in this.
My friend,
this school.
you are so fucked.
Yeah, but I'm taking social cues from Adeline because she has the family life down and I have trouble with mine.
And I mean, on the face of it too, it's like she does a lot of music and is quite involved in stuff. But
yeah,
that makes sense, I think.
Awesome. What's your next one?
Someone's seen through your invented past and realized it's all lies. They gain 2 strings on you. That's the Sasquatch.
It sounds, Adam, like you have a story that you tell people about your family life. That's not fair.
I'm sure I'm telling a lot of things that don't really happen to me, like they, stories I got somewhere that like they were my own, because there isn't too much childhood to speak of. So
ski holidays with your family. We have a house in Tahoe or whatever, right? Like it's all just stuff that you've like picked up from other people.
Yeah.
The way that I see through it is, since you didn't see me, like I'm like the wallflower or whatever, I like the idea that maybe I'm in tons of your classes and I've overheard you telling these 4 different stories after the holidays. In the background of all those scenes, when you're telling those students, I'm in the background with my glasses just being like,
I love the Sasquatch because the Sasquatch is basically like an alternative ghost, right? Which I think is pretty cool. It's terrific. So that actually tells me a lot about Adam. I actually really love that aspect of that character. This idea that like you just make up memories and you just lie about everything, right? Like just from what you learn from other people, which I think is super interesting. All right, let's go to Adeline then. Adeline, Wednesday, Adam Weir. What are your backstories?
Yeah, so I have you've been watching someone, trying to learn from them what it means to be human, gain 2 strings on them.
Oh my god. Who's that gonna be?
So I kind of feel like this has to be Fall. I've taken notice of Fall and find their human traits complementary to my own, I guess.
I love the idea that like you're trying to figure out what it means to be human, and you were drawn to this person who is, in many ways, is like incredibly natural, right? Like they're human, right? Like they have a smell, that's like, I like the idea of like, you interpreting like his like earthiness as like human or whatever, right? So I think it's interesting.
That's exactly what I was going for. Like, totally.
Cool.
And then my other one is your family seeks to control your every move and they will not be denied. The head of your family gains 2 strings on you.
All right. The head of your family, I'll note that now. The head of your family is your mother.
Yes, you remembered. Okay, cool.
And she is, I'm going to make a note on the miscellaneous tab. Her name is going to be Jacqueline.
Nice. How does she feel if I call her Jackie?
I think she hates it.
Nice.
Jacqueline is your mom. And how many strings am I getting on you?
2.
2.
This is going to go amazingly well.
I'm going to go ahead and just name a couple more of your family members. You also have Aunt Eleanor and I don't think I want to give you siblings. I like the idea of you being the kid, the one that's like the new generation, while these other like ancient serpents just stay in the house and brood all day.
I love it.
Jacqueline and Eleanor. I think there's going to be a man relative. I just got to think who that is. But for now, that's what I've got. I love it.
I did name an uncle that they like. If you wanted to draw upon like.
Oh yeah, sure.
A black sheep uncle who's actually kind of nice amongst all of these assholes that I.
Yeah, we'll call him Uncle. What's it? Do you have a name?
Uncle Nick. Uncle Nick.
Okay, we'll say Nicholas is his formal name. And these are all weirds. We make or wires, I guess. Weir, wire. How do you prefer that pronounced?
I like weir because weir is like one letter off of weird.
Weird.
So feel free to draw on like that as well as a nickname for her.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, kids would totally make fun of you, right? Like, terrific. We'll talk about. We'll have plenty of time to explore them. Okay. Is that it for backstories? I think we're all good there. Okay. So the way this works, I'll kick us off by like creating an NPC and asking some questions. Maybe you have a couple of you to kind of like tie you in together, to tie a couple of you into that NPC. We'll put them in the classroom. And then if you each want to think of an NPC as well that you'd like to introduce to the table and pose some questions to the other players, that would be great too.
I would take the center seat so I can blend in the crowd.
Right. Good.
I'm always on the peripheral.
Nice.
I'm working the corner, just in a very different way.
Looking good.
Adeline's seat in like for normal class as well. She's just like run up on this other.
So I want to know what you each did to get detention. We already know yours, Fall, right? They think you threw a basketball at the face of some kid, busted his nose. Did that kid then get into a fight with you on the court?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I think my NPC would be the other kid is also.
Yeah, I think he's there too because he got into a fight with you. Yeah, that's good. All right. Let's just name him now. His name is going to be Robbie.
Robbie, yeah.
Okay, so that's a good start on Robbie. Let's tie in something with Robbie and Adeline. You've moved here fairly recently, but I think you were probably here last summer. And I want to know how come it didn't work out with you and Robbie last summer.
Oh, good question. I think that I got bullied a lot and he didn't have my back that one time I got called Wednesday Addams. It was like I came to school one day dressed in black and then Joel called me like Wednesday Addams and then he just couldn't handle like being associated with someone as tragic as myself.
Do you still kind of like him now?
I know I should it, but I'm still crushing pretty hard on him.
I'm a string on you.
Did you dump him or he dumped you? He dumped you?
I feel like he must have dumped me.
That changes things, right? He dumped you because he thought you were like a social liability.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to go with.
Yeah, and he's like good social currency too, because he's like the captain of the basketball team or whatever too.
Right? Yeah, I could totally see your family being like, oh yeah, him. Yeah.
Exactly. Hugo comes to town. She's like, particularly in a small town like this, she's like the shiny new thing, right? And then once that shininess wears off, it's like, oh, she's like a bit weird and not, So I can see how that would have run its course for sure.
I love it. Okay, that's really good. Adam, how'd you end up in detention?
Yeah, something sports related too. Like there was a track thing going on where I had to run, and I refused to wear shorts. I was just running in my regular long jeans and long sleeves, and the teacher was unhappy about that.
And so you refused to change. Did it get like? Did you call the teacher a name or something, or like did it get heated or what?
I guess like I don't think I really called him a name, but I just like flat out refused.
Yeah. Okay.
Without really being able to articulate why.
That was like the main like gym teacher or coach or whatever.
Yep.
And guess who monitors detention? I think it's
great.
Probably
great guy.
Him. Okay, awesome. And so that's a good connection there with Adam. For fall, is Coach DeVry also the coach of the basketball team?
Probably. In such a small town, he's probably the coach of like
The coach of all those things. Yeah.
But basketball is his passion. Like this is One Tree Hill town, right?
Yeah.
And I guess he also does like sex ed as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh,
He does
God.
sex. He teaches history, sex ed, and does detention. Right. Those are the three. Those are almost certainly the three things he does. You've seen Coach DeVry do something in his office when he's alone and he thinks no one is watching. What is it?
My first thought is always to lead into he's into the students trope, but I want to do something else because the last one we had, Thompson being a creepo. Maybe he's like always hoping to get into another school's program. Like he's always job hunting for other programs because he hates it here. He's just like, if I could get into, One Tree Hill, then I could win the basketball.
I could get this juke joint.
Yeah, so he's sort of like always got one foot out the door. He's like transient in that way, but probably no one would ever hire him anyway.
Awesome. You can take a string on him. Find out what Adeline did to get detention. Adeline, what'd you do?
So usually Adeline is like quite reserved and quiet and will take any / all bullying, but she snapped and a girl called her weird or Wednesday or something, and then she just lashed out at them and she bit a girl.
Nice. Like with fangs, like actual like a snake fang bite, or just like teeth, regular teeth.
If I'm allowed to do snake fang bites, then yes.
Yeah. I think like you would probably have them like retracted by the time the situation was over. But I think like maybe you did use fangs, like and that was like a thing. Okay, I like that. Awesome. How did that girl respond?
The scuffle drew us apart, and she was crying, but then still like hurling abuse at me. But I think I won, and then. Because I won, now I'm here.
I think.
And then she got taken off to the nurse's office.
Let's start with fall. Fall, name an NPC.
We'll go Heather.
She's got to be a popular girl, right?
Yeah, super popular.
Yeah. Well, so go ahead and pose questions about Heather.
I'm picturing her. I can't stop thinking about One Tree Hill now. So I'm picturing her as like Peyton, who is really popular because she's best friends with the most popular girl and would otherwise kind of be ostracized for it, and she's
sub Heather. She's not Heather Prime.
Yeah, the queen or whatever would be the other one, and she's part of like the clique, but still got good social status, and she's like tortured artist type, but still has popularity because of that association.
Because maybe she's like childhood friends with like the really popular girl, right?
Yeah, and I think maybe she was childhood friends with one of us as well at one point, maybe.
Probably can't be Adeline unless she just happened to live where Adeline's family used to live.
That might be interesting though, because then she could be like, she would kind of know
the town or know the history of the family a little bit.
Yeah.
Fraser, if you have another question there, but I'll ask one. What did she learn about your family that your family would be very unhappy if they knew she knew?
Kind of want to make it sneaky.
Oh yeah, go for it.
The supernatural without being like.
Well, it's good enough to know that you want it to be like a supernatural thing, because I can throw some ideas out there. Oh, I would like to suggest that like after a certain point in time, like once you get old enough, your family members like tear their skin off and change their like look entirely, right? And so maybe she saw what your mother used to look like, and then she saw the switch, right? And so like she's like, yeah.
Maybe they moved way before you did, and then now you've moved here again. Like maybe she like everyone was like, you're crazy, Heather, and then she moved like a year ago here, and then now you're here again.
I like that. Like, 'cause I was also thinking like skin shedding, but I was like, I don't know if that's like too crazy.
No, I love it. Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I'm imagining it's something that like, so it wouldn't step on like the cuckoo or whatever. Like I'm imagining it being like a generational thing. Like you can only do it so many times or whatever, right? Like change your look.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like there must have been some cover-up story, like, oh, she had plastic surgery, or
Right. Yeah, that's good. And I'm saying she's going to have a string on you because of that.
cool.
And was there anything else you want to add to that little point about Jacqueline's skin change?
Oh yeah, not really. I guess other than that, yeah, there's some cover-up story that maybe they think is like super convincing, but other people.
Yeah, I like that. Like yeah, that's good. I think it's gonna be really fun to play your family. I'm excited about that.
But I was thinking it would be interesting if she was in detention because she was trying to like spread these rumors again, and then like she got detention because they were like, that's not a nice thing to do. So you're specifically going to detention with her, and you're going to make up, spend time together, and end up friends, or it'll be a punishment, whatever.
That's like such an adult way of handling that situation too.
Yeah.
Adam, do you want to create an NPC?
I wanted to ask something about Heather too,
Sure.
because we said she's a tortured artist. What kind of art does she do? Is she like a painter or a poet, or is she playing an instrument?
Why don't you define it, since you haven't defined it, and we have a little bit?
Painting works for her.
A question, Adam. Heather uses her art to express her inner emotions, her turmoil, her feelings. How do you feel about that as someone who is so incapable of things like that? Like, how does like Heather's art, the way she processes things and expresses, like, how does that affect you?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand all of her feelings on the art I saw, but it is kind of fascinating. I'm not sure if I'm envious about it, but it has a certain fascination to me.
I'm going to take a string on you as well. Yeah. So she's almost a mystery in a way, right? That's kind of interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, Adam, do you want to go ahead and name an NPC?
Sure. Let's go with Debbie.
Love a Debbie. All right. Go ahead and just put her wherever you want her and ask your question.
I guess Debbie represents rather feminine, mostly wearing dresses, long hair, and all makeup, all those things. Yeah, not in a super sexy way or anything, just a feminine gender expression. And I guess I want to ask why she's unpopular.
She's unpopular?
Yeah.
So she expresses her femininity with like what she's wearing and her like accessories and stuff like that, right? Maybe she's unpopular. I'd like it if maybe she's unpopular because she's seen as being like extremely smart. Like she has a better vocabulary than everybody else. She reads a lot.
She plays D&D on the weekends.
Yes.
Yeah. But I want her to still be like attractive as well, so it's not like the geeky girl trope.
Oh, right. So
like,
not like
you
the
could
like,
be
not like the
really pretty.
Not like the geeky girl trope. It's because she's smart. Like that's why.
Yeah.
She already took off her glasses.
Yeah. She's started taking her glasses off and let her hair down, right?
Yeah, she's beyond that trope.
Yeah. Like I think she's like probably really smart. Like
yeah, like head of debate club.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And do we want to make her a D&D person too?
Yeah, sure. A nerdy girl.
I kind of want a D&D person.
I love having a D&D person. I love it.
She could be trying to convince us to play D&D.
I'm probably good at D&D.
If she's super intelligent, my parents have probably like nudged me toward being her friend.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like that a lot. That's really good. That's a good note. I think one of you, either Fall or Adam, are actually really good friends with her.
I could be friends with her.
Okay. Take strings on her and I'll take one on you.
She kind of invited me to become friends. Like she took me into her D&D world. Ended up being a good player.
She was like, "This is advanced Dungeons and Dragons."
It's right around the time when that would have been happening too.
Yeah, it's 1983. We are advanced now.
Actually, there's a part of me that really loves the idea of, just because you're on the game, Philip, there's a part of me that really loves, like, she's way beyond D&D. Like, she found Dushvart's Og, right?
Yeah, but just 1 year before it was invented.
No. So it's not even out yet.
She's done ahead of the game.
It's being playtested, though, right? And she can read German. She's super smart.
I love the idea of her being into the dark eye.
She's playtesting it now. She's ahead of her time. She's translated it herself.
I love it.
And it's going to be really funny because I'm assuming that Lauren and Fraser don't know anything about the dark eye, just like I don't. So.
We'll just defer to you.
I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to like butcher the dark eye. It's going to be amazing. All right.
Yeah, do that.
Okay, so I'm really looking forward to that. Let's talk about other characters. Adeline, you want to make one?
I kind of feel bad for making another woman, but
Go for it.
Becky or like Kimberly.
Becky is pretty freaking 80s. Yeah, Kimberly is too, but
Okay,
Becky
let's go
really
for
is.
Becky.
Yeah,
For Becky, and now I get to ask a question.
yeah, just whatever you want.
Of someone. Would a good question be to say to like Fall, what is the one like kind thing that Becky did that you hold close to you?
Maybe she's the only one that knows that I was like abandoned, and then my ranger parents took me in.
Oh, so they're not your biological family.
No, I was abandoned, so I'm thinking
Oh.
like I was like a fire station baby, and they took me in. Yeah,
That thing, fire station babies.
yeah.
That's a Canadian thing.
Maybe. In Canada, anyway, if you have a baby and you don't want them, you can go to a fire station and leave them, and there's no like judgment or anything.
Oh,
They'll take the
wow.
baby and take it in and like give it to the hospital and stuff. So it's a way so that teenage moms or whatever won't just literally throw it in a dumpster or something like that, right? They can go to it and they remain anonymous.
And the laws protect them, like they can't.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's cool. Yeah, that's good. I love this. We've got two characters who were basically like dropped on the doorstep of their, essentially of their parents, and then we have one character who is so intrinsically tied to their family. So like the biology is so freaking important. Like, yeah, like I like that dichotomy. I think that's great.
Yeah, and then maybe she knows because her dad works at the station or something like that, right?
What's her like high school trope thing, Madeline? What's her deal?
I kind of see her as being that insecure girl that acts out. Like she doesn't try hard because trying hard means there's a chance she might fail. And so she's often behind, like under the bleachers, smoking and like hanging out with the bad kids, and she's always in detention. But her parents don't really give a shit, so there's no one like pushing her, and she's like, that kind of.
All her report cards are like, why doesn't she apply herself?
Yeah, but the parents like never turn up to parent-teacher evening.
But she has such a cool leather jacket.
A cool jacket. She probably stole it. I like the idea of like this kind of like dropout kid who is a little bit like self-loathing, reaching out to like the kid who's a bit of a like country bumpkin and trying to be friends with them a little bit. I think it's kind of cute.
Well, and also, yeah, it's good. And like, I think because she knows about your like story, I'm gonna give her a string on Fall, and you can take one on her too if you want.
Okay.
Let's continue on. We've got 2 more spots to fill. I'll come up with a character. Let's see. We're going to go with Shay. That's H-E-A. And this is a boy Shay. That's a unisex name. I think Shay is actually, I think he stands out, especially in the 80s. And in this rural place, he stands out as being like, I think he's like half Korean. Like I think he's like a half Korean, half white kid. I think his dad is like a military retiree. So he's like his parents are much older than him, or his dad is at least, like much, much older, single dad situation. Fall, Shay basically, I think Shay came out to you, which in 1983 would have been a huge deal, right? Like a really, really, like, especially because like this is right when AIDS was getting going, right? And all that stuff.
Right,
As
right.
a thing. I think he like kind of came out to you. I think he like actually like expressed that like he liked you, right? How did you react?
I think I was flattered, and maybe both have a part-time job working for my parents, like helping out with the park. So maybe he told us then. And I think that I was flattered, but I don't think it went anywhere. But we're in that awkward phase of like still friends, right? Where it's
Right,
like
yeah,
we
yeah.
can totally be friends even though only one
Right,
of us
yeah.
likes each other.
Yeah, okay, good. That's good. Adeline, I think your family has really specific, possibly unkind, but really specific ideas about people who are same-sex attracted, right? And they're specific in the sense that like they're not like human notions. They're like some weird snake idea. Think about what that might be.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I want to really learn something about the serpentine, like the bizarre serpentine like culture or whatever, right?
Oh, weird.
Yeah. Think about it for a minute. I don't need to
Yeah,
answer right away.
thank you. All my characters are always bi, so this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. So I guess he'll have a string on me then for sure, right?
No. I think
No?
you'll have a string on him because
Okay.
he likes you, right? You guys are friends, but he's the one who's like into you. Last spot. If anybody has an idea for the last one, go ahead and just call it out.
Yeah, do we need another muscle-bound testosterone guy to shift the scales?
I feel like Robbie. I feel like Robbie is that.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
I was thinking that or like the rich kid or something.
Yeah, there should be a rich kid. Oh yeah,
Yeah, of course. Really preppy guy who
I'm really
wear that outfit with the hat.
Or do you have a name, Philip? Or I was gonna say Chad, but we already have a rich kid, Chad, in mainline Mercy Falls. So,
yeah. Chad.
So this can't be Chad Senior.
Oh my God,
Possibly.
Chad's dad. Oh my God.
Chad's dad.
Yeah.
I'm kind of here for that. I like Chad Senior. I think it was gonna be good.
Yeah, he's not Chad Senior yet.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, so let's talk about Chad, the other Chad. Who I suspect is a lot like the other Chad.
Yeah,
not
he's
falling
a
far.
swim team guy.
Oh, swim team. That's pretty good. I like swim team. Rich kid, captain of swim team. Adeline, why is Chad an unsuitable target for your family?
His family have a really bad reputation. They don't fulfill my family's need for power since they're kind of
Influence,
useless in
yeah.
that capacity.
Chad's father went to prison for money laundering and is in fact.
Yes.
And then that might be a reason why, like, you know, like, no, we're not going to be like connected to that family's taint or whatever, right?
Yeah. If he goes to prison, he is not rich enough to tolerate them being Novorich.
Right, exactly, right. Yeah. Adam, why do you practically stalk Chad?
A popular, successful guy. So that might be something I should try to emulate. It's I don't know why he has success with what he's doing, but yeah, that's why I'm following him. Also, he is good looking and attractive, but that's just, I'm not admitting to myself that I'm attracted to him. It's just a look I could emulate and
right, yeah.
appreciation, of course.
Well, so I guess, like, what's the weirdest or creepiest or most embarrassing thing you've done in trying to emulate Chad?
The swim team once, and that was a bad idea.
You joined the swim team, you said?
Yeah, I tried. I didn't make it through the tryouts.
Okay, good. All right. And is there a physiological reason why you couldn't do the swimming, or you couldn't make it, or?
Yeah, more social reason. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't like showing my body off, and
Mm.
maybe I could be a decent swimmer, but I did not make it because of being too nervous.
Being a hollow, is there something about your body that's particularly like shameful or that you wouldn't want people to see? Which is maybe why you also didn't want to take your pants off?
There isn't anything wrong with it as such, like maybe a bit too androgynous for some people's tastes, but otherwise, yeah, just usual scrawny teenage body, but not. But for me, I feel super awkward in it. So that's just
Embarrassed about your body.
Yeah, just dysphoric about my body. So that's why I'm not showing it off.
It's like you don't feel comfortable in like this in the skin you've been given. Basically, is that the idea? Okay.
The most upsetting thing about Chad is that we know no matter what happens this story, he survives and he makes other Chad.
Right. It's true. He has to, right? Yeah. Thoughts on snake, on serpentine culture and same-sex attraction and Shay and all that?
So I guess it depends upon which route you want to take the family, because I can either see it being like that kind of classic mythology is about fertility and immortality. And so at this point in time, it isn't like feasible between same-sex couples that. Or,
like, do they like eat their gay kids, like just to like, you know? Alternatively, I was going to suggest. So I'm thinking for Uncle Nicholas. I'm thinking Uncle Nicholas is like call him like a venomologist. I think he has like pseudo supernatural kind of scientific like aspirations and pursuits. It all has to do with like serpentine chemical technology or whatever, right? Like a lab or something. And I'm wondering if like maybe that's what's expected of like snake men who are not going to be breeding. Almost like a scientist priest class or something, right?
Wow, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I feel like I just answered the question, but like I didn't mean to do that. But what you said like sparked that in me. I was about Uncle Nicholas. I wasn't originally thinking of Uncle Nicholas. No. Yeah.
I threw it and you caught it, and I love it.
Yeah. Let's go there. I mean, I knew I wanted Uncle Nicholas to be that, but I wasn't thinking about it like because he's gay, right? So, all right, that's good. So you have Jacqueline, Aunt Eleanor, Uncle Nicholas, and Aunt Genevieve is the other fourth family member. And I think Aunt Genevieve is the one that is like basically like lives in the basement or the attic, because I think she's half snake. Like her lower torso is serpent, and so she can't like leave the house, right? Anyways, so that's that pot bunch. So
something went wrong in the molding with her.
It precisely, yeah. I think like maybe I'm going totally D&D here, so just bear with me. But like in D&D, the Yuan-Ti race, the Yuan-Ti are, there's like the ones that are like mostly snake, like half snake bodies that look really snake-like. They're called abominations, but it's not a pejorative. Like they're called abominations like as a way of like respect. It's like you're most snake, so it's good to be an abomination. But I think like maybe in this context that was like ancient times. So in ancient times, Aunt Genevieve would have been like, you know, like a goddess or like a queen, right? But now she lives in the attic. So,
I love that. It's super inconvenient.
For one more last idea about the weirs. So in our setting, in games, particularly Cthulhu Dark, we've established that there was this hotel and bar called the Egyptian Palace.
I worked at it.
Oh right, yeah. So there was the Egyptian Palace, and present day Mercy Falls, it's like a museum of like the town. But I'm thinking that like I love the idea of your family bought it on the cheap, because it does have like a really sordid history. They bought it on the cheap, and they still operate the bar part, and then they just use the rooms at the hotel part as where the family lives. And so like each family member has their own room, right?
Is it like house plus the hotel, or is it like the hotel?
I think the hotel is the house. Yeah, like I think they like live in the rooms of the hotel, right? And that's closed to the public. Like that's not a hotel anymore. But the bar I think is still open. I like the idea of like Jacqueline still runs the bar.
bites are cheap on Tuesdays.
Right, exactly. Yeah, precisely. So, good. I'm sure we'll have no shortage of snake-based puns. I'm imagining Eleanor and Nicholas being like old line, like mystical part of the lineage, right? And Jacqueline's the practical leader. And then I think Aunt Genevieve is like sweet, but an abomination. And so, yeah. And you are the
I love this family.
And you are the foot soldier.
I want to hug all of them.
Maybe not. We'll see.
We'll see.
Cool. So I just want to get them on the table and established because they're such an important part of the Serpentine playbook. So, okay, good. I want to start with seeing the home life of these students. And we're going to do that. I think it's Saturday morning. I think it's really early, Saturday morning, like 7:30 or 8. You are each expected to march over to detention and be at detention by 9, where you will stay until 5 p.m. and then you will leave. So you're going to be stuck in detention from 9 to 5, Saturday and Sunday. But I think it's going to be Saturday morning, and I want to see these kids like just in their homes, see what their houses look like, find out what their home life is like. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to kind of interrogate that a little bit here in the beginning. I want to start with Fall. I think your parents like genuinely like love you and you have a good relationship with them, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think they are like thrilled that I got detention too, right? Because I never interact with any kids. So they're like, oh, like
you're a normal boy.
Yeah.
So you said you kind of live on the outskirts, right? Like you barely live in Mercy Falls, right?
Yeah. Like the forest is a park or whatever, and they have to like patrol it, X-File style. We live like on that land in order to do that. And I think it's like a log cabin.
Cool. And what are your parents' names?
Janine and Steven.
Okay.
It might even be interesting if I don't even know that I was like abandoned, right? The only one who really even knows at all in this whole town is Heather. Well, and the dad.
As we go into, I think you guys have a house there on the land, right? I want to know, I want to paint the scene here a bit, get your bingo card. I want to know what we see, this is for everybody, that shows just how much Janine and Steven love Fall. Just something we would see as the camera pans around the room that shows that like they really love their son.
Really bad family Christmas sweater pictures.
I think along with that, I love the idea of a picture of Fall like swaddled in like as a baby, and from like the day they picked Fall up, but it's like kind of ambiguous as to this is the day they were born. This is
Right.
the day
It's like they took him back from the hospital, right? Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Did they even do like the normal sorts of things that like you would do when you're bringing a baby home, like little cards and other little like keepsakes or whatever, I guess, like even though like technically they didn't really have that moment,
I feel like they definitely did.
Awesome.
I think they have false things like take over their house. A lot of rooms look like his room, or there's at least some of his stuff scattered there, and they give him a lot of room.
Yeah, nice. That's good. And also, is it fair to say, Fall, that you're you still have like a feralness or a wildness, even if it doesn't come out often? Not like werewolf feral necessarily, but like you've got like a wildness. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think what I pictured was maybe I get really pent up in spaces, so it sort of was perfect that they adopted me and they make me like their helper out in the woods, because like
you like to be out there. And
I like to be out and like any inside is always like even a little bit claustrophobic, even in big rooms and stuff like that.
Well, a follow-up question then for the table again. What do we see that shows us that maybe you wouldn't notice it like necessarily right away, but like an astute observer shows that Fall is like a wild creature?
I feel like Fall has a collection of interesting like leaves and stuff, and keeps like a little an impression book, like when you collect flowers and stuff and things like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I say a lot of open windows to let in the air
Fresh
of the
air.
woods. Yeah,
And also
Yeah,
maybe
but-
let his musk out as well.
Yeah, indeed, and give him a view of the woods that's
No.
unobstructed.
Like a shot that the audience sees is just that even for like a young person, he's shaving a lot, probably. It started early.
Yeah. You're much more hirsute than the average 17-year-old, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or 16, 17-year-old. Awesome. Those are great details. Thank you. Han, you gonna come down? Your breakfast is gonna get cold.
Hi, listeners. This is Jason. If you are enjoying Mercy Falls 83, please consider supporting the Gauntlet on Patreon. There are a lot of costs associated with producing Pocket Size Play, from editing, hosting fees, music licenses, and more. Your Patreon pledge helps pay for all of that stuff and indeed encourages us to create more Pocket Size Play. As a bonus, if you pledge $2 or more, you also get early access to Pocket Size Play episodes, which is pretty cool. So go to patreon.com/Gauntlet and support the show today. Thanks.